So you were one of the last candidates that was endorsed by Charlie Kirk for Arizona governor. How would you say that the Arizona governor's race impacts voters nationally?
Well, so Arizona is really at the fulcrum, in my opinion, of national politics right now. It became kind of a swing state, and you saw it, how it went in 2016, the country went, how it went in 2020, whether right or wrong, it kind of dictated that outcome. And then again, in 2024, when President Trump took it back, Arizona is the number one state for him with 5% votes and a 160,000 vote swing. And right now, Arizona is, I think the national picture looks at Arizona and the state picture, but so like in the Democrat side, in the governor's race, for instance, their number one save is to try to save Arizona for the Democrat. The Republican side, the number one pickup is the Arizona governor's race. So I think the outside of the state, when you talk to national folks, which I do a lot, they view Arizona as the key state going forward, at least in the next few cycles. So that's why we have to get ready for 2028 by winning 2026 and bringing it back.
How important would you say events like America Fest are?
I think it's incredibly important. So I've already met people from, I don't know, probably 8 or 10 different states who come here. They come here, they get recharged, they meet candidates. Everybody needs to hear from their own side sometimes, maybe to expand their view, but also to give them strength, because we're fighting. This is spiritual warfare, and America Fest really tries to, in my opinion, bring a lot of people together to buoy them up, send them out enthusiastic. And look, there's going to be people here who disagree with us, who come in, and they're going to become converted to the message that America's, what Charlie used to say, this is a divine country, divinely originated. Freedom's number one. Government doesn't give you the freedoms. You've got them. The government's supposed to protect the freedoms. Those types of things, I think you'll see some converts to that going. I think America Fest is incredibly important. It's a huge, huge event.
Yeah, it's definitely a different vibe when you're here opposed to, watching it remotely.
Yeah,
I think
right.
People who come here, they understand that. But
right.
You mentioned that when it comes to eliminating the filibuster, we have Republicans in Congress have a very small window to do that.
Yeah.
What do you think is the likelihood that they'll do that and be able to enact, so that Trump can enact the America First agenda?
Well, first of all, you would actually keep the speaking filibuster, but you get rid of the cloture rule. And so that way you could shut down debate at 51, and then you could go forward, and then President Trump's agenda could be moved through. It is incredibly important. Failure to do that means that we're going to leave so many items on the table of the agenda that Americans need and they want and they elected him to do. So that has some very big ramifications. The first one is this. It means that there's going to be some voters who are disaffected. They're going to be ticked off because the Republicans failed to deliver the agenda. The second thing is we might lose in the midterm. We don't want to lose in the midterm, because if you lose in the midterm, President Trump's agenda may be over completely, because the Democrats already have impeachment resolutions already drafted, by the way. So it's incredibly important in my mind to advance the agenda. The only way to advance the agenda is to take it to 51 votes, because it's almost impossible on these things to get 60 votes. And that's what we're really trying to avoid. Get it back to something where it's a majority, not a super majority, but a majority. That's why I wrote that in 2017. I went back and found an op-ed I wrote in the Wall Street Journal in 2017. And I was writing another op-ed that was published last week in Newsweek, and I'm thinking, this seems familiar to me. I'd forgotten I'd written it when we pulled it up. Almost the same arguments then as apply now. And I just view it as betrayal's too strong of a word. It's just fecklessness and failure to realize the existential nature of where we sit, to say we're going to preserve a tradition in the Senate because it's a tradition, instead of saying we're going to advance what the American people want us to advance, and they gave us that mandate to do it. Because I can tell you this, the Democrats are going to get rid of the filibuster, and when that happens, they're going to come in and try to pack the Supreme Court. They're going to try to create 2 new states, and one in Puerto Rico, one in D.C., and they're going to try to fix it so where that the Democrats never lose again. Where's that same fight from our friends in the U.S. Senate?
Yeah, that's the thing too. Is you mentioned that you wrote an op-ed on it in 2017, and it does seem that the Democrats. And so one thing I'm kind of jealous over at them over this is because they push through. Why do Republicans just kind of? It seems like we talk a lot about what we're going to do, and we're not pushing through. Like, what is the likelihood of us doing that with the filibuster, the Republicans? And why don't we fight like how the Democrats do?
Good question.
Well, we're there's a good handful of people, both the Senate and the House, that are willing to fight tooth and nail, and that do fight tooth and nail. But we also have a bunch of people there that won't do it, and so I'm sad to say, but I don't believe we're going to get the filibuster through. And if we don't get the filibuster through, the question is, do you do something meaningful on Obamacare? And if you don't, what happens then? But if you were to actually go in and actually say, like I introduced a bill a couple weeks ago, and I introduced, and a bunch of us introduced bills last summer. Even if we get those out of the House, what will the Senate do? Well, they won't get 60 votes. So you're going to have to at least I'm begging them, if you're not going to get rid of the filibuster in total, the cloture rule, at least get rid of it for specific items like a health care reform. The reason that they were able to do a shutdown is because the Senate refused to do change the cloture rule or the filibuster rule.
Yeah. So repealing the Affordable Care Act, how do you think that would get us out of the healthcare quagmire that we're currently in?
Well, the programs that we've got designed in there would immediately reduce premiums for people by about 30-40%. It also would give each person more control over their own health care choices. And that means that there's more freedom. And we would also help create the marketplace by opening it up so that the market's creating these new policies and creating choices. When you have choices, guess what? People actually respond to those choices, and the marketplace will determine what works and what doesn't. Right now you've got a bunch of bureaucrats based on this Obamacare law that are giving us massive premium increases and bad health care choices. And so, like on the subsidy thing, think about this. You literally have probably 15 to 20 million people who don't know that they are on an Obamacare plan, and the subsidy is being paid for them, but they don't get the subsidy. It's going directly to the insurance company, and then they'll be automatically re-enrolled. This is the kind of idiocy that happens, and this is why we've got to get in and change it. If we don't change it, it's going to continue to propel us off the fiscal cliff.
Yeah. Is there anything that we should be wary about if we were to eliminate the filibuster? I mean, I guess we probably won't do that, but if the Democrats were to do that, what is their next move? What do you see coming from them?
Well,
next?
I mean, that is the great question, and that's why people say, "Oh, we can't do it because the Democrats." And I make this argument: if we deliver on our agenda, guess what? I think the American people will be more prosperous. They'll flourish. They'll thrive, and in so doing, they'll say, "Who did we thrive and flourish under?" It's the Republicans, so they would keep electing Republicans. Now, if it were to swing back to Democrats, you are going to see a Supreme Court that gets packed. You're going to see 2 new states, and everything. They're going to do everything they possibly can to ensure that they never give up power again.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
In the meantime, while Republicans are in control, do you think that we are holding the left accountable for their political violence that we have seen an increase of and their rhetoric?
A little bit, not enough. I mean, we keep finding more information, and I will just say there's a treasure trove of information showing that they weaponized the federal police state and federal bureaucracy against political enemies. Somebody needs to be held accountable and go to jail. Somebody needs to be prosecuted. I mean, I was at the Jack Smith depositions for, not all of it, but for a while of it. And basically he has no remorse for what he did at all. And he was doing that all, in my opinion, based on a political bias. And so if we're not going to go after him, or we're not going to go after Judge Boasberg, then you actually will cause a continuation of this when the Democrats are back in power. They will because you do see pendulums, but they will continue to do it because they'll say none of our people ever get held accountable, so we're going to go forward, and that's it. So there's no deterrent. Let's put it this way: there's no specific deterrent, so the bad actors will keep acting bad. There's no general deterrence. So if you had general deterrence, everybody says, "Well, I don't want to do that because I could get in trouble." We're not seeing that because the Republicans in the executive branch with police power need to be holding these people accountable.
Do you think that maybe a reason why why do you think that they don't do that? Is it because when we do even the tiniest of things, ICE deports a few illegal aliens, and then all of a sudden you have riots and protests? Does the left push back so hard? Are we just we don't go in on anything because the left's reaction, or what drives us to not do as much that we know we want to do?
Well, I think that's part of it. I think there may be some people that are a little bit timid, but I think the other thing is there's two other things that come to mind. Number one is we have some people that just don't believe that people would act so badly, and so they want to act. We want to play by every cleanliness of the hands. We want to have clean hands and going in and everything, and we can have clean hands and still prosecute these people. And then the third thing is, even those of us in the legislature that want to do something, we're not in the majority of our own party. Number one, and number two, the police power to actually hold people accountable from that point of view is in the executive branch. And so there's so many people in the executive branch that support President Trump, but you have these secondary and tertiary level people that are trying to put up every kind of speed stick to try to wait out President Trump's term. That's a real problem, and that's why I believe that our top tier leaders need to clean out everybody underneath them and start over again.
Yeah, and segueing also to just conservative movement as a whole. Right after Charlie Kirk's assassination, I felt that there was this brief moment of clarity where everyone on the conservative side they were united and they were focused on closing ranks against the left. And I'm not just talking about people in government, but also just anyone involved in the industry, essentially. And that seemed to have been, we seem to have been quickly distracted as a movement. And there's just, I don't know if you've seen the infighting that's been going on just on the stage between speakers and everything. What's your reaction to that, and where do you see all that going?
Well, I agree with you that we don't stay as unified as we need to stay. Part of that is because what makes you a conservative is because you're an independent thinker with independent ideas, and you want to express them. And I'm an independent thinker with independent ideas. I want to express them, and so we do that. The Democrats, they close ranks immediately. I mean, can you imagine if we had someone as radical as a Mamdani on the right side that was running for office somewhere? We would be saying, "Oh man, maybe he shouldn't be running." Not the Democrats. They're all in there saying, "Well, we don't care if he's a communist. We're going to stay with him." I am concerned that sometimes our own fractious nature is a weak point. But it's the same thing as individuals. Our strong point is often our weak point. And the same thing with this movement. Our strength is we're creative, independent thinkers, ready to go. But that's also our weak spot too. Sometimes is that I don't think you're as conservative as me, and vice versa, and that type of thing. And I just want us to all come together. So when you get a conservative candidate for something, let's come together, get that person elected. And that's really the bottom line. And I hope that we get there. I think we will. I think we have a real good chance to win 26 and hold the House. If we do, that's going to be beneficial to saving the country. It really is.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. Because I do feel like on the conservative side, there's it's almost like you have too many intellectuals or nerds together, and there's no true Scotsman. We analyze every little thing, and we're quick to apologize. If anyone steps out of line, we're quick to apologize for other people or, condemn this and that. And we turn on ourselves quickly, but the left never does that. They just,
right.
If anyone makes a mistake on the left, they just push forward, don't apologize, ignore, keep going, and it works for them. And we do the opposite. But do you think with maybe the culture maybe with the conservative movement starting to become more cultural, and we have way more people interested in it and joining it, maybe there's a shift there somewhere long term, or?
Well, I agree with you 100% that we turn on ourselves. They don't turn. They always keep outward focused, right? I think. So I'm an old dude, and I've been around, and I've watched this happen before. And this time, what I think is different is I am seeing more outward push than I've ever seen before. Now we're still eating our own a bit, but I believe that we are going to turn it outward, and if we can keep an outward focus, I think the whole country turns around. So that's what I believe. That's what I hope, and I pray for. By the way, I pray for that.
What is your message to anyone who's viewing this, and just regular people, voters, anyone who's watching and is frustrated over potentially losing the midterms or the direction of where the conservative movement's going? What is your message to them? What can people do from the sidelines that are watching? What can they do to make an impact in any way, just as a single person?
Yeah, so get involved in your local party apparatus. I think that's important because that gives you a forum to raise your voice. And if you're on the sideline, who do you talk to? You need to have someone to talk to. And this gets you in with the party officials and also elected officials. Number 2, raise your voice. Tell Republicans, straighten up, follow the party platform. Look, if everybody just would follow the party platform, we would have a remarkable renaissance. And those 2 things in and of themselves are going to be great. But the third thing, get out and work, find candidates that you support, get out and work to get them elected. The fourth thing is don't get discouraged, because in this business, there's a lot of discouragement. Don't get discouraged. Keep your head up. The fifth one is work like crazy, as if it depends on you, but then pray like crazy, because it all depends on God. And so those are the 5 things I would say.